And a warm welcome to all of you here. Let's make a few adjustments there. There we go. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Conversations with Michael. And as we always do, let's take that deep breath here together and allow all these energies that come together at the first part of this every month to create another sacred circle between us that allows these energies to be of service to each and every one of you. And of course, we invite the presence of my own eternal self, Michael, to be here with you, and all of your own souls and the eternal self to be here with us too. Let's see what that does to the internet connection. And notice when we come together this way and allow these energies to play with one another to help act as supports to each other, how it builds and becomes more and more reliable, something that we can truly rely on, depend on, because in this is our own energy. And for a lot of us, for the first time, we're openly blending and sharing our own energy with each other because it feels safe. It feels wonderful. We are developed such a deep trust in our own presence, in our own soul, that now for a lot of us, for the first time, we're allowing us to be so vulnerable, but not feeling like it's not safe to be vulnerable. So thank you again for joining us. Today's episode, of course, is all about addressing some of the issues that interfere with staying connected to the presence of your soul. You could say that's what we talk about every single episode, but today it's going to be a little different. We're going to do that in part by creating a new benchmark for this human experience. Because a human soul relationship is radically different from your typical human experience. We're going to offer some really simple ways to help you to stay connected to your soul while living on this planet. And for those of you that are new to our work, Conversations with Michael is presented on the first Friday of every month as a free live stream. With all the rapid fire changes humanity is facing at this time, we wanted to start each month with Michael's refreshing perspective. I've been sharing my own human soul experience in a variety of ways for the last 33 years. And as you can imagine, this relationship has changed a lot over time. It continues to evolve. I've had the honor to be of service over this time to thousands of people from all over the world who awaken from what we call a mental construct of a reality. Each of them, in their own unique way, could feel that something was missing in their life. And so the search began. Some call this a spiritual awakening, but whatever label you want to attach to it, it's really all about our freedom. Ancient Wings represents myself and my wife Coca. We don't call ourselves light workers, but Michael has been calling those that resonate with his teachings the new mystics. More on that a little later on today's show. Our approach to this is very simple. If we don't experience it ourselves, we don't share it with any of you. That makes it authentic. Something perhaps that you can trust a little bit more in for yourself. There's no hidden agenda. There's no secret formula connected to the teachings of Michael. We're not presenting any of this as a new concept or a theory, nor is it intended to help create and improve your version of your human identity. It simply has become a living experience for us, and we're happy to share it. Let's take a breath there. Because we discovered early on that it is our energetic radiance that attracts people to all of our creations, including ancient wings. It takes a while for the mind to completely accept because it represents a new dance between the doing and being parts of us. That dance has now created a new benchmark for our human identity. We know it takes a lot of courage for the human personality to allow our own magnificence to begin to shine. And we also know that this part of us likes to make itself right by trying to make others wrong. I know that really well firsthand. We're well aware that what you hear today from Michael will more than likely feel like he is speaking for your own heart, simply because much of what he is sharing is already known to that part of you that is connected to your heart. The most basic truth is that we are sovereign creators of our own experience. Here on earth, we've been offered an incredible opportunity to reclaim that as a gift by using physical reality as a reflection of our own inner reality. Now, some would argue whether that's a gift or is it a curse. Instead of reacting to everything that appears to be happening to us from outside of us, our work is all about taking that deep dive into your own inner community. Ah, yes, the good stuff. It represents a truly amazing discovery, though. We begin to realize that from within, we're not alone. We are actually multifaceted beings. Our inner community not only consists of all those human parts, the child, the adolescent, and the adult, but it also consists of our past lives. But the part that really rocks our boat is the presence of all of our future lives. Initially, that can be really disturbing to the mind. The mind can accept the awareness of past lifetimes simply because it's the past that supports its own identity 100% of the time. Future lives, well, they can feel like something you might read about in a science fiction novel. And when you realize that all these versions of you exist in this moment, well, that too is pretty mind-blowing. So along the way, we also discovered that we are creating our own reality. Big discovery. Kind of frightening too. I shared in a previous episode a list of people who inspired me to explore such a incredible realization that we are creating it all. We discovered that it is from within that we are actually influencing everything that appears to be outside of us on this physical mirror called physical reality. And from that, we allow ourselves to experience a new freedom that allows us to consciously create our own experience. Now, we also realize this type of awareness, it isn't for everybody at this time, because much of what lies inside of us hasn't been acknowledged for a very long time. The term benchmark, this might also be new to some of you. It only became known to me about 15 years ago as I go through a new iMac computer about every 5 years. It is primarily used to measure the quality and performance of different models of computers. Speed being, of course, for computers, a main factor. But today we're using that term to help set a new standard for this human experience. Michael's going to talk more about these benchmarks as they relate to our physical body and to your own state of consciousness. Because when we step outside our old story, we are invited to start experiencing our life very differently, consciously. But that's not an easy thing to do when we got stuck inside these reactionary patterns of behavior, most of which are based on a perception that life happens to us. And from that perspective, creating your own reality just doesn't resonate. So with my wife, Coca, we once again want to thank you. We're not trying to convert anyone to become a chameleon for the teachings of Michael. In fact, we encourage you to explore a variety of other services, other teachers, other guides, because inspiration can come from some of the most unlikely places. Our joy is to help you to experience your own joy, a true passion for being who you are. And when that happens, we will be one of the first to celebrate. If you'd like more information about any of our programs and services, you can find it on our website at theteachingsofmichael.com. Or feel free to watch the short slideshow at the end of today's show. In particular, if you're dealing, like a lot of people are, with a lot of physical issues, health and well-being, being challenged, we highly recommend watching our latest class titled Over the Rainbow. You can rent it for up to 90 days in our video on demand library. In that class, Michael guides you some of the core issues that are actually interfering with your health and well-being to help you release those energies. And since that live presentation, we've gotten some incredible feedback from those that did participate in that class. Some have completely freed themselves of a lot of chronic pain issues for the first time in their life. And on a final note, our 3-month course called iSpirit 2 is now officially open for registration. Class size is limited as we prefer working with small groups. and it includes 3 private sessions with Michael. Over the years, it's sold out every year, so we recommend that if it does speak to your heart, and if you have a passion for going to the core of who you really are, we recommend signing up early. On that note, I once again allow Michael to step forward within this beautiful triangle of energies between my human self, Robert, my soul called Kethra, and of course, Michael. Each of you have your own unique soul and as well an eternal self. When I allow Michael to step forward, I can actually sense, feel this part of you wanting or waiting for you to give it permission to do the same, waiting for you to allow it to step forward. It actually represents the original self as an energetic being. It represents consciousness in motion. It represents your own freedom. And for most people, it comes in the form of your soul, which is but a counterpart of this eternal self. So let's take a deep breath, my friends. Indeed. Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Kethra. It is I, Michael. Let's take another deep breath. Because life just doesn't get any more intense than being human. It's a matter of fact. It just doesn't get any more intense than being human. As you all know, Earth offers a beautiful, unique experience, kind of like a in-your-face type of experience. And while the beauty of this planet can be at times overwhelming to your senses, at the same time, the pain of feeling separate from the rest of creation, being separate from your own soul, can also break your heart. So we are deeply honored to witness such a profound transformation occurring within each of you. Most of you that are watching today's show can thank yourself for this. Truly, truly. We know that many of you, well, for most of you, actually, the presence of your soul continues to be an on and off again type of experience. But after today's session, you should feel a lot more connected and know how to maintain that connection. For those of you that are indeed at the front line of this grand shift, well, your tolerance levels are now at an all-time low. Meaning you don't have much patience anymore for bullshit. You just don't. There's a lot going on in the world as we speak that makes it even more challenging to find the joy to just be here. So we once again remind you to be on this planet, but not of it. To be on this planet, but not of it. That doesn't mean you should deny yourself all the pleasures and joy from being human. Not at all. But a lot of those on and off moments with your soul are directly connected to getting pulled back into mass consciousness. So the opportunity to be on this planet but not of it will do what? Well, If you allow yourself to be there, it will place you squarely in another reality. A reality that doesn't feed on drama. A reality that supports itself by allowing your beingness and doingness to dance together. That would be new, not just for you here on earth. That would be really new for most of creation. We understand that there are a lot of human beings that would declare that such a reality isn't even real. I hear that on my side too. They would suggest that not being of it is just avoiding taking responsibility for helping to make this world a better place. When in fact, if this polarized mental construct of a reality was indeed capable of creating a better version of itself, even logic would question why it's taking so long. Let's take a breath there. The truth, my friends, is you brought with you a very polarized story from the non-physical realms. It feels kind of familiar because it is. All of you have played numerous roles with the hope of creating a better version of creation. And just to be clear here, to those of you that are new to our service, this is not a channeled message. It is not. This relationship between the human Robert, the soul Kether, and I, Mikael or Michael, is actually available to anyone. But for a variety of reasons, very few embrace such an experience as being even possible, as being real. And a lot of that resistance is at the heart of your collective cosmic story, a story that you brought with you, a story that became polarized within a perception that the presence of the original self didn't recognize the energetic presence of the eternal self or soul. All of you are feeling, more than ever before, a variety of energies that support that story, while at the same time, you're also feeling a fresh new wave of energy that also supports an entirely different story. One that you are helping to create with every conscious breath you take. And all of this is being played out inside the human part of you, which, as you know, is conditioned to react to world events that appear to be happening to all of humanity outside of their control. My friends, the presence of fear has acted as the support base for most of humanity for a very long time. It would appear within your old story that you have no control over certain diseases, viruses, or weather patterns. The belief that life happens to you is very, very seductive. Some would even argue that it's actually much easier, and in a way it is, to just point fingers, to blame others, than it is to take responsibility for all the energies that are supporting your own life, which in turn has a huge impact on things like diseases, viruses, and your weather. My friends, Earth was not created as a place to endure and tolerate a great deal of pain. It was created to help relieve the rest of creation of its own diseasement. Earth, unlike any other celestial body, represents a solution to our cosmic story. But it's intense, is it not? And there are times when it's not so easy to watch what's going on all around you. Only a true master really has the courage to be here. And I will continue to insist that is who I am talking to. Let's take another deep breath. So, how can a human being stay connected to their soul and stay on this planet while feeling great joy for choosing to live life consciously? Well, in our work with so many of you, we needed to create a new benchmark for the human experience. We call this new human template the new mystic. Mysticism is not rooted in faith, principle, dogma, or even belief. Mystics perceive the world as being expansive and ever-changing. Mystics value their own imagination as being their most valuable resource. They experience life in this manner because they have allowed the presence of consciousness to also be a part of this human experience. The new mystic is living proof that such an experience is real, is possible. Yeshua, my dear friend Yeshua, was a true mystic. But so are all of you. The new mystic knows that a reality that is devoid of consciousness is but an illusion. Even though it looks really real, it feels really real, the new mystic knows that from that place of being connected with consciousness, you can be on this planet, but you cannot be of it, because you would be lying to yourself. It knows this firsthand by acknowledging all the false beliefs one inherits inside of this human experience. Most of you watching today have already taken that deep dive into yourself. Some of you here today are simply curious. There's no agenda here, my friends. If it speaks to your heart, there are parts inside of you that have been ignored. They are just waiting to introduce themselves to you. Primarily not through the spoken word, but by their energetic presence. It offers a refreshing new type of communication, what we call the language of the heart. There is a huge shift waiting to happen in your life when you allow consciousness to be present. It changes the cellular structure of your own body. You become a quasi-physical human being as your own light body begins to emerge. This alone creates a new benchmark for the human experience. But what triggers such an incredible transformation? What does trigger such an incredible transformation? A new belief, perhaps? A broader concept of reality? Maybe it's the deep dive into quantum physics? Well, from my perspective, not really. But there are many beings who would prefer a more mindful approach to such a transformation. It's the mystery of this thing called love that has so many beings standing in line to experience being human. Can you imagine such a thing? Standing in line to experience what so many of you are experiencing, a true love for self. Self-appreciation. We've been drumming on that of late. It's a beautiful expression of love. The feeling you get from appreciating yourself is so unique to all of you. It helps to restore your trust in yourself. Let's try it right now. We invite you to step ahead of the mind chatter, all that noise inside the head, just for a moment. If you want, you can go right back to it. You're here on this planet when so many others didn't have the courage to experience life on Earth. While you've been here, you have tasted both the joy of being human as well as all the pain. Can you appreciate how incredible that is? We know that feeling of self-appreciation. It got buried underneath all the doubts, all the worries and concerns. Appreciating all that you've been through. Breathe with that for just a moment here. Every breath you take, feel this way about you. To just experience what your heart has dreamed of long before Earth was even created. Many of you have never experienced feeling appreciated from someone else as a human being, because it has to start with you. Someone else, no matter what role they are playing in your life, is only capable of reflecting back what you first give to yourself. So it can feel a little awkward at first. To your mind, it feels like you're cheating. But I, Michael, assure you that you deserve this. There is nothing you need to do to earn it. Now let's take self-appreciation a step further. Because the moment your human identity consciously allows yourself to appreciate itself, that acts like a formal invitation to now be loved back by other parts of you inside of that inner community. Allowing these other parts inside of your inner community as a indeed. It feels wonderful. It is bringing some of you to tears. It's also frustrating some of you because you're not feeling anything. And if that is one of you, keep practicing. It will come to you. What you all have just created was a new benchmark for yourself. Simple enough. The feeling you receive from self-appreciation, well, now it acts as a new foundation for your life. Instead of trying to get any number of beings, human or otherwise, outside of you to appreciate who you are, you created this for yourself. And you realize nobody is going to appreciate you outside of you because they are but a reflection of you. When you appreciate you first, you'll be bombarded by others loving you back. You created this for yourself. This, my friends, is the new mystic. You imagined it for yourself. Those that have walked this same path before you, they too searched for this feeling. A lot of them did it by living in a monastery, or what many would call a sacred temple. It helped to remove some of the human distractions. They discovered that this feeling, the energy connected to self-love, is so very precious, so healing on so many levels. And so they devoted themselves to staying connected to this feeling without all the human distractions. But for most of you, you would find that lifestyle incredibly boring. You want your cake and you want to eat it too. We get it. But like those before you, it has become a real challenge to live with all the noise inside your head. But from our perspective, speaking to those of you that are at the front line of this change, your passion for feeling the core of you is greater than any distraction. Now, for some of you, let's be honest. You've been making others responsible for how you feel for a very long time. But eventually, this feeling you get from appreciating you first, it will serve you very well. The key is to allow these conflicted energies inside of you to exist, but not in front of feeling a deep and sincere appreciation for yourself. If they want to serve you, these conflicted energies, they can serve what's at the front of your life now as the new mystic. So what are those conflicted energies? Self-doubt, worry, the inner critic, fear just about in any form. You got so used to feeling these energies, you eventually began to call them normal. So those that walk this path before you, they isolated themselves from mass consciousness. It helped to keep self-love in front of them. You've chosen a different path, but you're faced with the same challenge. How to keep your own presence in the front of your life. Instead of always having to deal with all this noise that pulls you into feeling kind of depressed. We're going to take a very deep dive into all of this in the upcoming I Spirit 2 course. It's a course that we have reserved for those and only those that want to experience life here on earth as a conscious creator of your own reality. But for now, if you want to join the ranks of the new mystics, it's time to love yourself as never before. Because your human family, my friends, is truly lost. They don't need to be saved. They don't need to be guilt-tripped. And the sooner they stop looking for some God outside of them, the better. But that's going to take a while. Self-appreciation will provide the joy you're looking for to help make this human experience more tolerable for your human part. But it's just the start. Tune into your soul. Allow yourself to feel the presence of your soul. What are you feeling there? Indeed, it is fearless, my friends. It is fearless. It loves exploring different realities just for the joy of it. Of course, you've heard me say that 1,000 times because, like you, we wouldn't want it any other way. You and I share something in common. We just love to go where no being has gone before. Welcome to Earth. Welcome to Earth. Now, let's start creating that new benchmark and let the presence of your soul act as your new support system. Let's start acting as the new mystics, for real this time. Shift your devotion to how you feel when you do love yourself, when you do honor yourself, when you do appreciate yourself, when you do nurture yourself, when you do take care of yourself. Start by appreciating all that you are. And then breathe with that feeling consciously throughout your day. Treat it like the most precious thing you have ever owned, because you are that precious. You are the most precious being in all of creation. Because as sovereign creators, we all feel that way about ourselves. How can we be the original self too and not feel that way about every part of ourself? You just got lost in all the games being played here on earth. So you decided to stop playing them while acknowledging that even though you want to stop, they're very addictive. But they have never relieved you of all the suffering you have endured, have they? So now we're done with all of that. Use the 3 A's to help transform these stuck energies and appreciate yourself and notice how that feels. And if you like it, use your conscious breath to deepen how that feels to you. In the end, it was your divine selfishness that helped to set you free. You just couldn't stop loving yourself, could you? I've already seen that potential in each and every one of you. It's waiting for you inside of you. Allow it to step forward. Allow it to be at the front of your life. All my blessings, dear ones.